Hi guys, how's it going? My name is Evan, one of your mods from the Little Root Lessons Discord community, and I'm also the league coordinator for this LML, our Little Root Multi Battle League. And right now we are in our first week of Top Cut, so we have top 8 teams that make it into playoffs, and you can see on the screen these are the teams, and these are the most commonly used mons in their roster, in their draft. And then the top 8 matches finished by the end of last week, so this week we are coming to you with a speed run of all 4 matches that happened. And here with me, I have a very special guest. I have the host of DPEC, our Little Cup server, Enje. Say hi.
Hi guys.
So Enje is the one of the coaches from Celebi together with his friend. So it's nice to have some, sort of uh, like inside people with talking about the top card, because the top card is a kind of a new experience for everyone, especially when it's a best of 3. Yeah, how was your experience playing in a best of 3?
Oh well, yeah, it's really different than best of one because uh, most importantly that like cheesy strategies like don't work. They only work like once in one game for the best of three. But in the best of one, you can pull off the weird strategies better because yeah, and it needs more like coordination in the best of three
Yeah.
because yeah, if you make one wrong move that you
Do
just
you
lose
guys
a lot of momentum.
True, that's very true. Do you guys find it hard to like record down information or like collect information from your opponent uh, for this week?
Yeah, well, Wendell was the one who did the noting for us because I was busy with my camera with my phone.
Yeah, nice, I see. Yeah, I think you guys did a pretty good job because you found out, important information from the opponent's side. Yeah, I think we'll touch on that when we come to your match. So let's just jump straight into things. I'm gonna fly by all these matches, and what I have here, you guys can access in the official LML spreadsheet, so you can kind of see the mons that were brought, the moves that were brought, and which mon dynamics, which is highlighted in red. And like I didn't request for everyone to submit the post battle forms because it might be a bit messy, uh, and we are playing like 2 or 3 matches. So, and also the post battle forms were actually for the kill leaders, and then us like giving away kill leader prizes had already ended. Therefore, I'll just try my best to put all the information onto the spreadsheet so that the rest of the teams remaining in top cut will be able to get information from opposing teams. Additionally, I'm going to post a link with everybody's top playoff matches videos, so that it's easy access and sort of embracing um, the culture of open information for draft leagues. Thankfully, uh, all 4 matches were recorded really well. Yeah, hint hint to the Primarinas, because last week you guys didn't didn't manage to record your match fully. Okay, so this is the first match, the Primarinas versus the Shellder, and this is our only match that went to game 3. The YouTube link is there on the screen, and uh, yeah, I'll just like try to come up with like brief summaries of the whole thing. It's generally game 1 was turn 1 Dynamax Dragapult with Life Orb and Togetix support, and it took very quick KOs on Moltres and Meowstic Female. This is Meowstic Female's first debut on Shellder's team. And then after the Dragapult's Dynamax ended, it took down 2 Mons and then it hit the Electy to Sash. Then Shellder responded with a Dynamax Groudon, and it was quite okay because despite the Dragapult going for Willow Wisps, the Groudon went for a Max Knuckle in its first Max move. So um, overall it could do like more damage than usual despite being burned. Then in the end, the game actually ended with a 2-2 score, but the Primarinas had just that little bit more HP. So in games 2 and 3, the Shelders didn't change sides, and I'm trying to bring this up. Yeah. So the Primarinas were more aware that they might not need to Dynamax Dragapult on turn 1. Whereas the Shellder, they responded with the immediate threat of like Groudon plus Leafeon lead. However, the Leafeon's not in the player 1 slot, therefore it didn't have the fast Dynamax offense pressure from a very fast Chlorophyll Mon. And then all Groudon needed to do was just spam Precipice Blades, and the Zeraora was notably Air Balloon, and they managed to break the Air Balloon and keep spamming Precipice Blades, while I think Zeraora accidentally went for Grass Knot onto Groudon, proccing a policy. So despite the Will-O-Wisp from Dragapult, the Groudon was still at almost like full health, and with Miltank's helping hand support, it just went for a lot of Precipice Blades. Then in the end, the Primarinas had to kind of react with a Dynamax Volcanion because everything is dying to fast offensive Groudon, and in the end the game ended 4-4, and this time Shellder had just that little bit more HP. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Then in game 3, Primarinas responded with Walrein lead. This is the first time they're bringing Walrein, so that is so surprising, and like you won't expect what a Walrein can do. However, Shellder Shellder brought Eleki. They led with Eleki, and it might be a lucky like call in terms of leads because Eleki doesn't really fare well against a Dragapult, right? So the Eleki didn't max on turn 1, although it shows red color that it maxed here. All Eleki did was Electro Web, and Moltres did Fairy Wrath. So the Walrein died in 2 turns, and then Dragapult was forced to come in to try and max to KO the big threats of Moltres and sort of Eleki. He brought Eleki, and Eleki switched out into I think either Groudon or Oranguru. And after the Dragapult's Dynamax, Shellder was still very patient, but in the end, like they couldn't get in Mon to Dynamax at the correct time. So the Primarinas just kept pressuring with damage from Dragon Darts, even Plasma Fists from Zeraora. I think Zeraora also managed to get a coaching boost onto one of their Mons, and with Eleki in the back and most of their fast Mons gone, the Shelder's Mons just kept dropping one by one. So all that remained was Eleki, and they haven't Dynamax yet, so they did a Hail Mary Dynamax to try and max lightning into the Terrakion, but the Primarinas prepped Assault Vest Terrakion, and it managed to survive max lightning, and the Shellder couldn't get the KOs they needed, and Primarinas took the set 2-1. Yeah. Enje, do you have any notes for this match?
Yeah, this was a really interesting match. It was really back and forth throughout the games. In game 1, they managed to max early and gain a lot of momentum in really short time. But in game 2, I think what's the team again? The Primarinas. Dynamax a little bit too late. I would think that it's better to max the Volcanion play with them because it has the weakness policy and the Groudon is burnt.
Yep.
And so I think it would have been better if they max like 1 turn or two turns early. But overall, I think both teams played really well, especially in game 3 where the Primarinas managed to pin down the Shelders, so they couldn't find a good spot to Dynamax, and in the end they have to max Eleki in a 1v2.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yes, I remember now. It's like the Zeraora coaching into a Dragapult, so that's crazy. And then he kept going for Dragon Darts, in front of a Leafeon and a Groudon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. And yeah, the Primarinas didn't use the weakness policy Volcanion as a sort of good surprise, whereas the weakness policy on the Groudon actually caught the Primarinas off guard. And my last few notes for this match is that it's a really very even matchup, and I really think that both teams actually played really well. They were very patient with their dynamics towards game 2 and game 3, and then it's more of like trying to position well, trying to ensure that your mons, you protect your mons to take a move, and then the other mon just goes for spread damage. For example, the Groudon with Precipice Blades. So overall, very well played on both ends. And then congratulations to the Primarinas for advancing to top 4. Okay, then the next match is my match, to Infernape and Beyond versus Puff Puff Pass. Oh yeah, just a very quick shout out to the Primarinas nicknames. I think it's because the opponent's name is Shellder, so these are Japanese name of seafood. And then I really appreciate Shellder's nicknames also. Only a few teams like were like tried to join in the fun and still go with nicknames, because it's not really required, right, for top card. So the Shellder's nicknames are characters from Powerpuff Girls. So it's like, see, there was one game they finally brought Buttercup and then Fat Bubbles, because the shiny Miltank is blue, and Blossom. So the whole Powerpuff Girls was all in the player 2 slot. Yeah, good
Yeah, the
job.
nicknames were really great.
Yeah. And over here, Puff Puff Pass has their standard nicknames that they've been using on their mons. And then for us, we decided that we needed the power of family. So
The power of family.
we brought mons like they are named after characters in the Fast and Furious franchise. Yeah,
And you won with the family as well.
Yes, we won with Dracovish Choice Scarf. So, yeah, let me go through the match. Like, if we finally decided to, there are some matchups where Scarf Dracovish doesn't work, but this is a matchup where Scarf Dracovish really works, because Puff Puff Pass team, their speed tiers are all very middling. So all Dracovish needs to do is hit this certain speed stat just to outspeed their fastest mon, which is Raikou, and that puts on a lot of pressure together with Sneasel's Fake Out. And Sneasel's Fake Out is actually quite useful here, despite the Puff Puff Pass having 2 Ghost type mons in Mimikyu and Runerigus. So every time Sneasel's on the field and protected by the Sash, we were always able to get off either a Taunt, Ice Shard, or very importantly a Foul Play into Mimikyu. So Puff Puff Pass got creative, and they brought the Swords Dance set for Mimikyu with no Trick Room. So it was Swords Dance, Wood Hammer, Play Rough, and Shadow Claw, and that's very offensive, and they could have stuck with their game plan. Fungus going for Rage Powder, whereas Mimikyu going for Swords Dance, and then Dynamax Mimikyu straight away, because they planted Mimikyu on player 2 slot. However, the Mimikyu decided to try and snipe our Dracovish, and luckily we switched out, calling that the Mimikyu was going to set Trick Room. So it was sort of a defensive play that actually worked out on our part. And then towards the middle of the game, Mimikyu and Metagross KO'd our Credility, because the Credility beside Sneasel had the threat of like Surf plus Dynamax and trying to steamroll with a lot of special attack boost, quite similar to Deepak's Free Leap, right? Like the Lilip combo.
Yeah.
So a lot of respect was paid towards the Credility. Our Credility just went down, leaving the Sneasel always intact with the Sash. And then just so happens we were able to bring in Victini and Dynamax it at the turn that it just came in. So we found out that the Victini is faster than the Mimikyu and the Metagross, so all we had to do is just spam Max Flare, and that took out a lot of their mons, especially the player 1 slot. So once the player 1 slot was down, then we only the player 2 slot was more important, because Runerigus came in, we needed to stop Trick Room. So everyone went down except the Fungus, and then the timer came the timer ran out, and it was a 4v1 on our end with Victini and the Sandaconda on the field. Yeah. So for game 2, this is very interesting because Puff Puff Pass decided to swap their spots. So there are a lot of dynamics here. By swapping their spots, this is not seen on the graphic on screen, but in the player 1 slot, they had a Porygon Z. So we were thinking it might be a Porygon Z Fungus mode, therefore our Scarf Dracovish should still do a lot of damage, and we let the same thing. Then we found out that the Feeny was scarfed, and that was very scary because Feeny with Moonblast could potentially take the KO on our Dracovish because we invested a lot in speed and not in bulk. Then we had to position a little bit, always bringing our Cradily to take damage, and then we were able to bring our Sandaconda in front of the Raikou, and then we immediately Dynamaxed when we had the chance, and we went for Max Quick, and then Max Steel Spike, and that made the Cradily quite bulky. And then Puff Puff Pass went Trick Room with the Runerigas, and then we were able to stall out Trick Room miraculously because of our defense and special defense boost. Not so much the special defense boost, more of the defense boost. And the Sandaconda was able to take +2 Wood Hammer from a Mimikyu at +1 defense. Oh, that was quite surprising. And in the end, we tried to play around Trick Room, and then the Puff Puff Pass targeted down. I think they tunnel vision and targeted down the Sandaconda, maybe because it posed the most threat to their Raikou, and then they ignored the Dracovish, so they ignored our family. Then our family just went for Fishes ran into a +3 defense Metagross. It did enough damage for our Zapdos to follow up with a Heat Wave. So actually at the end of the game, the timer ran very low, and then both sides had an equal number of mons, but Puff Puff Pass had more health. So they reflected upon their match, and they said on that last turn, if you remember like the match, or if you guys watch the video again, on that last turn, the Metagross and Raikou were on the field, and if the Metagross protected, then Puff Puff Pass would have won and forced us to play a game 3. Yeah, however, it did not happen, and they made a small misplay there. Yeah. What do you think of the match, Enje?
Oh yeah, the game 2 was really fun. In game 1, they decided to max their +3 Mimikyu. Yeah, I think it's a little bit greedy, I would say, because looking at the situation, I would think that you can afford to wait another turn and max the Metagross instead. And on game 2, I think that maxing Metagross was the play, but I don't think the Metagross made use of its Dynamax because it barely took any KOs. And I think the Puff Puff Pass did a great job with the preparation, especially the item choice. With the Scarf Tapu Fini, the Snowball on the Mimikyu, and the Keyberry on the Runerigas.
Yes.
But I think they would have been better off with Weakness Policy Metagross, because looking at how many KOs it missed on game 2, I would think it's better with the Shadows and Mimikyu.
Yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity there. I'm not sure. Maybe they were just too afraid of like foul play.
Yeah. Right, that makes sense.
But then I was thinking, if they really could target down the Sneasel immediately, then a +2 Metagross is always going to be very, very scary. Then maybe with some form of like the speed control, like intentionally going Trick Room, or the Scarf Fini can go for Icy Wind to keep maintaining that offensive pressure from a Dynamax Metagross. So, but I still think Puff Puff Pass played well to try and like position around, and they really made very good reads against us. That blew our minds, because there was one turn, it was Mimikyu was protected by Fungus Rage Powder, but the Fungus didn't go for Rage Powder, he went for Protect. That was crazy. Then and we went to taunt the Fungus instead of just do damage into the Mimikyu. That really caught us off guard. So yeah, overall it was a very, very fun game against Puff Puff Pass. It almost went to a game tree. If we went to a game tree, it would be so scary because like although we found out so much information from Puff Pass, everything is really scary. Like you said, the prep, like the scarf on Fini is very smart, because it always outspeeds the scarf Dracovish if they build it well. Yeah.
You guys played really well. Both teams did.
Nice. Yeah.
It was really fun to watch.
Yeah. If you are watching on YouTube, to anyone watching on YouTube, I'll post the links to all our matches below. I think our top cup matches are just really the most fun ones in our whole league so far. Okay.
I agree.
Okay, speeding things through. Now this is the third match, Galarian Rapidazz versus Martin Solrock, and this is just a crazy like Dialga game because Rapidazz just had to Dynamax Dialga, and this time they came with sort of creative prep. Like instead of the common trope of a Dialga being special, they actually showed that they were willing to prepare a physical Dialga with Screech from Liepard, despite Screech being 85% accurate. So that's very sneaky, and it really worked out in their favor because they know that the Spectra would most probably prepare Snarl. Unfortunately, I think this Spectra didn't prepare Will-O-Wisp, because if Martin Solrock realized a bit earlier, then they could Will-O-Wisp into the Dialga, and that could be useful because the Dialga had a Life Orb instead of a Lumberry. So Rapidazz also had very immaculate prep in terms of Encore from Liepard, and I think it was Quick Claw on their Ditto, and then they positioned the Ditto so well that it was in front of Martin Solrock's player 1 slot, and they were able to scout both the Rillaboom and the Grimmsnarl sets, knowing that the Rillaboom could be an Assault Vest set with no Protect, and the Grimmsnarl set actually had Protect with Thunder Wave, and then Rapidazz tried to like use the Thunder Wave to their advantage, but they didn't really do as much as they wanted it to. Then Martin Solrock tried to respond with a late game Grimmsnarl Swagger into Dynamax Hitmonlee strategy, but it was kind of too little too late because the Dialga just took too many quick KOs, and then with Liepard's Screech support, they took out quite a lot of their Martin Solrock's bulky mons like the Slowbro Gala and the Licky. So like +2, that's crazy. Like plus as in like -2 defense, and then Dialga just went for either body press or I believe it was Iron Head. Yeah, and then the Jinx also came in at the right time, and it happened to like use Psychic into Hitmonlee, and it did so much damage to a Dynamax Hitmonlee. So I think Galarian Rapidazz really came prepared for this match. And quickly touching on Game 2, Rapidazz actually changed it up, maybe trying to call a different lead from the Solrock side, and then they led with Urshifu. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Then Liepard was not just Liepard didn't just come prepared with the Encore, it actually had Trick and Iron Ball all the time. So the Liepard sat through the whole of Game 1 with the Iron Ball hidden, and then they knew that there's a chance Solrock will come up with a Dynamax Hitmonlee strategy because that's the biggest threat to Dialga, and then the Liepard just went for Trick onto Hitmonlee, giving it the Iron Ball, negating two things. One, no more Unburden boost, and two, it makes the Hitmonlee always half speed. Then Solrock, unfortunately, they thought the Iron Ball was full incense, and then they switched out the Hitmonlee mid Dynamax, wasting one Dynamax turn. But I think, yeah, but the thing is like the Rapidazz just had so much offensive pressure. They actually prepped like Pheromosa with Scarf. That's crazy. That's like overkill. So they always had that pressure of damage onto the Hitmonlee slot. So Solrock really need to play defensive. They protected a lot, but in the end, they couldn't get into a good position. And then Dialga, despite being paralyzed by Grimmsnarl's T-Wave, it didn't get paralyzed. It got paralyzed like 3-4 times, but on the turns that it didn't get paralyzed, it just did the correct amount of damage and then took a lot of important KOs without rage. It's a bit like mind-blowing, but they actually the Rapidazz actually brought outrage on Dialga and it didn't get confused. So a bit lucky, I would say, but still a good strategy in general. And the Dialga also targeted the correct mon actually. Like one time it targeted player 1 slot, the other time it targeted player 2 slot, and he was able to take the important KOs, leaving I think just the player 1 slot left for Solrocks. I think it's the Gastrodon and Licky. Then all were too slow, so everything just went down to Dialga's body press or outrage. Yeah, what a crazy match. Do you remember this, Enje?
Yeah, it was pretty fun to watch, especially in game 1 with all the hacks with the paralysis and the critical hit.
Yes.
Uh,
The Rillaboom, yeah, Rillaboom got a critical hit, high horsepower onto a non-Dynamax Dialga at +2 defense. So it was kind of lucky, but in the end, Solrock couldn't capitalize off it.
Yeah, they were preparing for copycat Trick Room in early game 1 by taunting the Dialga. But I don't really see how they should be afraid of Trick Room, because the Rapidazz side doesn't really have any mons to abuse the Trick Room, and generally the Solrock side is really slow. So even if they did go for Trick Room, the Solrock would be at an advantage.
True, that's a good observation.
Yeah, and in game 2, I think it was a really good adjustment by both teams, I would say. The Hitmonlee and Grimmsnarl lead was really, really good, but I think maxing it like right on turn 1, especially that the opposing side is not a Dialga, is really, really risky, and it would have worked if the Rapidazz led with Dialga, but I think that it would be better to like conserve the Dynamax at a later stage. And I would think that the Rapidash from the Solrock side could be an interesting max option as well.
Yeah. Wow, very well said. Yeah, especially when like the Hitmonlee had like max airstream, so that could be useful.
Yeah.
But they really need maybe waiting for the Dialga to come out and then trying the Dynamax later might be good. Especially when they know also, right, that the Grimmsnarl can just Spirit Break into the into both slots, into the Liepard or the Urshifu, right? Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
I really like how the Rapidash played with Ditto, really, because they use it to scout, because Rillaboom and Grimmsnarl are to like can have a lot of different sets,
Well
and
said.
using it to scout both of the mons are really, really great.
Yeah, I did hear in Rapidazz stream that they had a discussion. They said Martin Solrock swapped their positions. This is another game that the opponents swapped positions. Then they said, oh no, our Ditto cannot copy anything from the new player 1 slot. Like copying the Gastrodon doesn't help much. And then they already know the Licky set. Therefore, you can see that in game 2 they didn't bring the Ditto. So it's very strategic and very well managed on their end.
Yeah, it was really, really well thought out.
Yep, so the Martin Solrock had just maybe their standard nicknames from their boxes, whereas Rapidazz brought Chinese mons this time. So they seem to be very, very serious. And this was, I would say, pretty much a commanding win based off of a good strategy with Screech and physical Dialga, and it kind of caught Martin Solrock off guard. So, but still, very good plays from Martin Solrock's end. They made very good calls and they really made good protects to try and position well. So, yeah, to Keaton, there were some misses and hacks, but it's all good. Oh yeah, you guys, because Keaton also told me that they didn't really had much time to prep. But overall, I still think that the moves you brought and the plays you made were really good. And then always trying to increase your odds of winning with Thunder Wave and Rock Slide Flinch. It's still valid. However, like the time really ran out really quickly. And I have some inside info because I can understand what the Rapidazz was saying during their stream. They adopted our strategy, so I kind of let the cat out of the bag, and they adopted our strategy to stall the time and make sure they play as little moves in the game as possible because they know that their mons can outbulk the Solrock's mons. And with turn 1 Dynamax being very explosive from a Dialga Liepard combo, they were able to do more damage than Solrock could recover from, and therefore like win the game always based on time. So but then this 3-0 record in game 2, right, the 3-0 win, they knew that they were in a good position and all they needed to do was take easy KOs because the Dialga and the Pheromosa, more importantly, outsped everything on Solrock's end. Yeah. But it's a bit how would I say, like this is part of the game, right? Like if the game has a timer function, unfortunately, like it's something that us as a committee cannot stop. So this is a valid strategy that some teams might want to take note of in future games. So okay, now let's talk about the last match. It's Enje's match. Yeah.
Exciting.
Exciting? Okay, I'll try and like recount it as much as possible. So Xerneas led safely with a Ninetales and Persian, but that Ninetales really threatened the Palkia with a lot of damage because of freeze dry, and Celebi didn't really have a plan to Dynamax Palkia in the first place, so it hard switched Palkia into Klefki on turn 1. And then both sides just traded a lot of sort of preparation moves, like setting up screens, going for a putting shot, setting up a trick room potentially for someone in the back. Then overall, Xerneas were able to set up their Slowbro through a lot of turns, always going for iron defense. Whereas Celebi, I felt like the setup of like T-Wave into the opposing threats like Buzzwole and Slowbro was useful. Then unfortunately, the Slowbro just didn't want to get paralyzed, and it got off so many iron defenses that a body press from this Slowbro was too devastating into a Palkia, into a Klefki, and then Comfy's floral healing wasn't enough from Celebi's end. And then there was one very ballsy play from Xerneas. They just went straight for belly drum, despite like maybe Palkia threatening a lot of damage onto the Snorlax. And then the Snorlax, the timing was just right after the belly drum it could Dynamax. So this Dynamax from Snorlax just did very well to sweep the game on Xerneas' end. And then also by the time the Snorlax like I think ended Dynamax, right, then the timer came into effect, and then Celebi didn't have time to Dynamax any of their mons. The fake out and last resort on Kangaskhan could have done way more damage, however they fell for the bait and went for last resort into Persian that went for a putting shot and switched into Trevenant. So the surprise from Kangaskhan was kind of wasted, and it's quite unfortunate on Celebi's end. Then for game 2, Celebi decided to swap slots, which is quite interesting because that might like activate a Dynamax on maybe Melmetal or the Buffalon. But then Celebi just led with Galate to try and scout out the opponent's moves. The Galate kept going for Drain Punch and it taunted at the right time, and it was really good because Persian and Snorlax were weak to fighting, and then Galate kept recovering while being protected with Klefki. However, the damage wasn't enough, and then Celebi could only KO one Snorlax because in game 2, Xerneas revealed a move that they didn't show, Heal Pulse on the Slowbro. And then despite Slowbro being paralyzed, if then Paradise sort of helped the Slowbro because it was slower than the Snorlax, and then it went for heal pulse a couple of times, and Snorlax just couldn't die to Galit's -1 Drain Punch. It was -1 because the Persian went for Parting Shot. So if I feel like if Celebi could get a few more fortunate paralysis hacks onto the Slowbro, they could have gotten into a nicer position, maybe bring in like the Buffalon or the Melmetal and max at the correct time to try and boost up their mons. I think Melmetal's max steel spike would be very useful. Yeah. Then somewhere throughout the game, both teams, like Xerneas actually found out that Palkia is specs, and then they really played around it well. So always prepping the Slowbro to go for a +6 body press into the Palkia slot. That was one of the priorities for Xerneas' side. And it was quite sad because if maybe Celebi like prepared a different item, like maybe Expert Belt that doesn't reveal Palkia's item, it might be like the threat from Palkia would help a lot towards Xerneas, because Xerneas found out that the Palkia just kept locking itself into Ice Beam, and they sort of deduced that Palkia was locked into a scarf, into specs, and then they played around it quite well. Yeah. So Enje, this was your match, right? Like, how do you feel? Was there anything that you guys could have done better?
I don't think we necessarily prepped badly. I think we just lacked the preparation time because most of the week I've been quite busy, so we didn't account for every single strategies that could have happened in the game. We didn't think that there would be Iron Defense Body Press Slowbro.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we didn't account Slowbro at all. But the XMM really played well. They called every single of our moves and our switches, and especially in game 2 where they just straight up lead Slowbro and called our passive lead. We managed to pin down the Snorlax in game 2 pretty much, but it was still not enough. Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, it would have been nice if we get some fortunate paras, but yeah, the RNG isn't really with us too much in this game.
Yeah, I will commend you guys for that game 2 because you tried your best to really target down the player 2 slot. So if the player 2 slot was down, then it might be Slowbro against the world. Then you get some lucky paralysis hacks. Maybe things could work well in your favor. Do you guys bring Thunderbolt on Palkia?
Yeah, I think we had Thunder. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would have been so good though. Like if you get Palkia in a good position and then go for 2 Max Lightning, that should be able to take out the Slowbro, right, which is the big wall that you're trying to overcome. And then you tried so hard, like keep pressuring damage onto the player 2 slot, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. And the timer came really quickly.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate, but yeah, this season was fun.
Yeah, it was so nice to have you guys, and I keep going on week by week saying I really appreciate you just recording your match as much as you can, because these are all super fun matches to watch back, right? And they're always going to be on your YouTube channel, so that's super nice.
Yeah, essentially, Draft League won't be as fun if we don't get to keep up with the battles. So I just really want everyone to enjoy the Draft League that you guys are hosting.
Yeah, that's so cool. Really appreciate it. Oh, chat is saying, Kaizen saying GG's to the Celebis. That was a great season.
Thank you, Andrew. It was really great playing this season.
Yeah, I felt like you guys capitalized off of your initial draft and really prepped well every week and did I think you guys did super well in the regular season in terms of matches. Like the wins that you managed to collect were very convincing. Then
added a little bit of luck as well.
Yeah. Then there's Keaton also. Keaton from the Solrock saying, thanks everyone, really enjoyed playing. Yeah, really thank you to Keaton for your very enthusiastic participation and always in our literate lessons chat, like, you know, shouting out the Solrocks. I like that confidence, and you know, your team is a very good stuffs team that actually rivaled, you know, some of our teams with those restricted mons like Palkia, like Volcanion. Then you know, going so far in the league and doing so well, generally with the bulk of your mons, that is so impressive, and I think that shows how flexible everything can actually get in a draft league. Like, it doesn't mean that, oh, a team has an Uber or a restricted Pokemon and then the team is too OP. There's always ways to play around it. Yeah. Okay, so that's all. And that's all I have. Thanks so much to Enje for your very insightful comments. I think yeah, it really helped me a lot, like, and kept me company going through all our matches for the top 8 playoff matches for LML. Then I think, yeah, I'll just come back next week with the top 4 matches. Things are heating up because we are getting one step. Every team is trying to get one step closer to the finals, and this is our first ever multi-battle league, and it will be very nice to win it. Yeah, I think everybody is yeah, like, everybody is just trying so hard because you can see everybody's journeys here with their traits, and then with the plays and prep made in this week's matches, I think the top 4 and the finals match are always definitely gonna be one to look forward to.
Yeah, really excited for the top 4, especially that it's gonna be a guaranteed Peony versus Rose final. I find it really interesting.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Nice. Okay, so thanks to everyone watching till this point in my YouTube video. Yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.
What does KS mean by full chop so far?